Greetings and welcome to another patch notes video here at Words About Games, a weekly video series where we talk about whatever we really feel like. Let's be real. This week I'm doing a discussion with my good friend, the glorious one, Mr. Daffy Moody. How you doing?
Hello. How is everybody doing today? Do you like my flowers? Do you like the PlayStation 4? Yay!
I was going to say, is that a PlayStation 4 I see in the background? Is that the Last of Us title screen I see in the background? Oh my god, yeah. So, Moody's joined the gang again. You've had a PS4 before, right?
Twice, yeah.
Yeah, you've rejoined the gang. Because let's be real, like I do it. I used to do it all the time before I was doing YouTube and Twitch and had all the consoles. Like quickly after launch, there'd always be one console in a generation that I'd buy right at the end of the generation for cheap and be like, cool, what did I miss? Like that was how I experienced the PlayStation 2. Fun fact, because I had a GameCube. Because I was living in shared accommodation and we all played multiplayer games like Mario Kart and Smash Brothers and Super Monkey Ball. And I had an Xbox because Halo. That was it.
Understandable. Very understandable.
I played Halo at a demo booth in game. Remember when demo booths used to be a thing with my friend? And that was it. I was like, I need an Xbox because I need this game. Specifically, this game. And it was a great choice. Halo was a fucking phenomenal game. But it's in the spirit of that this video is existing. Because you've obviously missed out on some PS4 games, having sort of been on and off the PS4 train and jumping into it quite late. And, you know, I've played a couple of games here and there.
Just a couple. Just a couple.
One or two.
One or
like
two.
100 plus a year. Like, so in my travels, I have picked up some game recommendations. And what I thought would be fun is if I recommended you some games. Now, you gave me a list, specifically PS4 games. Like, this won't be one of these recommendation lists where it's like, oh, Moody. Like you go, oh Amy, I need some recommendations for some great PS4 games, and I just give you a list of all the really good third-party games that are available on all platforms. It's not going to be this kind of list. Assassin's Creed Odyssey isn't a PS4 game; it's just a game. I use that as an example. I know you've already played it, but there's no point in recommending games you could have gotten beforehand because that's not what this is all about. But you did give me a list of PS4 exclusives that you've played. That won't be in this recommendation list. They are, to be fair, probably most of the best ones.
I did knock off a couple when I had a PlayStation 4 before.
Which makes sense. So there will be no recommendations of Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, Uncharted 4, Uncharted Lost Legacy, Horizon Zero Dawn, Until Dawn, Detroit Become Human, God of War, Spider-Man, all The Last of Us Remastered. Which is clearly you don't need a recommendation for, because that's The Last of Us Remastered. Yeah, I think that about covers it. What you told me last night while we were streaming Apex, and I was frantically typing away on my Chromebook. When you were just listing games, I was like, okay.
And then one shot on a smart ass at the end of it.
One shot on a smart ass at the end. 319 damage. It only registered 100 damage because he only had 100 health, but I saw that damage number. Was, yeah. Didn't realise the gun
I think if he could have danced, he would have, just to try and see if we could hit him.
I don't think he realised that I had the one shot gun in my hand.
The gun that we were like, should we take it? Should we not take it? Should we take it? Should we not
Fine,
take
I'll
it?
take
And then
it.
once again, yeah.
It's the second game in a row I think I've won with that gun. Also, not going to be recommending because I know you don't like Souls-likes. So as much as, for me personally, Bloodborne and the Neo games are like some of my favourite PS4 games, I'm not going to waste my breath recommending them because you don't like them, which is fine. Like, everybody's allowed their own tastes.
Yeah, I need a baby-ass baby one.
I like being...
They don't have that.
I apparently really enjoy getting the shit kicked out of me by a video game, and Moody doesn't. I think he's the most sensible one, to be fair.
I'll take
How many?
it.
Yeah. 6, 7, 8, 9. So I got 10 games on this list. And obviously
Cool.
shout if you've played any of them before. And it was just like, you missed it off the... You were telling me. I don't know how this discussion is going to go. I don't know what we're actually going to talk about. I'm just going to start naming games and talking a little bit about them, and then we'll see what happens. I'm going to start with the easy one, because I wrote some notes next to each game just so I had some talking points. The only note next to this one is, and I quote from my own document, goes without saying, I guess, and it's Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, I do intend to have a look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much figured, right? Like, it's one of my favorite games of 2020. I mean, it is my favorite game of 2020, but, you know, The Last of Us Part 2 isn't out yet, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, play it. It's fantastic. It's part 1 of TBD.
How many parts?
How many parts? How many parts? We should do a bet and see how many parts and what year is it going to be finally finished and released in. But look forward to the PS5 recommendations video when I recommend Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. All right. Let's move on to the non-obvious ones. I mean, some of them are obvious, obviously, but, you know, like Final Fantasy VII Remake was the obvious one because it's like was the game of the moment like a month ago. Persona 5. Now you can take the original and play that if you want, or you can take the Royal and play that. Now I'm only about 4 hours into the Royal, so I can't talk too much about if the Royal is the definitive edition of the game, like if it is the best version of the game, but I've also got 95 hours in Persona 5, so I can definitely talk about that one and say that, if nothing else, I can recommend that game wholeheartedly.
I do like JRPG games. Like my favorite game of all time is a JRPG in Final Fantasy IX. Obviously, two different things here, how the play style is with these games. But I'll give it a look. There's no doubt about it because like there's nothing to do right now, so maybe it'll pass the time for me.
A 100-hour JRPG. Yeah, that should do it.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it is 100 hours. It's not like a 50-hour JRPG with optional like side quest content. There is some optional stuff in there. There's like these procedurally generated system of dungeons that you can go into and do side quests and whatnot. Which they're actually really fun, but this is a game that takes 100 hours purely because of the way it works. In that it's like it takes place from, I can't remember what the months are, but like it takes place over like 6 months, and like you go through each day, which may sound a bit grindy, but it's not. Like different days will have different events, and then there's like a time management system where it's like you level up skills and your character and all this other stuff by like doing certain things during certain days. So like when you get free time, for example, if you like read a specific book, like it'll count towards upgrading one of your specific skills. Or you could choose to do a completely different activity and raise another skill, or you can go and talk to someone, one of your confidants, which is your friends, but like that also influences your progression. So basically, like hours can go by playing the game without you even realizing you've been playing for hours, because it's one of those games where it's like there's always something to do next. So you just do the thing, and then you go, oh, okay, well I'll just do the next thing, and then I'll stop. And then you do the next thing, but then you've got something else that you already know you want to do next, and then you go, okay, well I'll just do the next thing. Oh, a 5-minute cutscene. Oh, okay, cool. Like, oh, it's 5 a.m. Shit, how did that happen? Also, the soundtrack is god tier.
God tier. God tier.
God tier soundtrack. If you've ever been to any one of my streams and you've seen the stream starting screen, you've heard some of the Persona 5 soundtrack, because that's all I used for it. Next recommendation. Let me just delete those so I don't start going over my own recommendations. Moody? When we discussed that this is a potential potential replacement video for our PS5 reveal, which obviously isn't happening now. Keith, in all of his infinite ex-boy fanboy wisdom, mentioned one game. He mentioned Yakuza. To which we both replied, it's on Game Pass. Just play it on Xbox. It's not really PS4 exclusive anymore. But Judgment is. And Judgment is a fantastic game. So it's made by the same studio that makes Yakuza. But it was designed to be I guess you could call it a spin-off. Instead of being about Yakuza gangs, obviously, it's about the main character is a private detective who was a lawyer. It's set in the same city, so it's the same map. It's got the same sort of gameplay style, but it's new person friendly. Like, I've played a few Yakuza games, and obviously been very lost because, like, there's a lot of them, and not all of them were available in the West until very recently. So I was like, I enjoyed running around, and I enjoyed beating up gangsters, and I enjoyed the weird mini games. But it was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Judgment's different because it's a new story with new characters, and the new story is great, and the new characters are great, and it was a game I actually played for my review video in July, whenever it came out last year, and then went back to it during the Christmas winter break and finished it because I was like, I have to finish this game because the story is really good. It's about a serial killer. But yeah, that would be that would be a solid recommendation from me.
Yakuza Judgment. Okay. Would you say just because of how it plays and how many hours you have to put in it, is it very Persona kind of like? Just because of the amount of hours?
Oh, don't worry. These aren't all like. This isn't all like 100-hour games. Like I'm going to take.
Oh, I know that.
But no, Judgment. Like they got to a point in Judgment where I dropped. This was when I was playing it in the wintertime. Where I dropped the difficulty level down a notch. And stopped doing side stuff because I was just like I wanted to just get through the main story and I wanted to get through it and play it because that was the part I was really enjoying and I'd had my fun with all of the side quest stuff. So I was kind of just like, cool, I'm just gonna breeze past most of this. So I think I played it for about 25-30 hours in total. About half of that I would say was literally just going from main quest to main quest to main quest, like just progressing the main story. Yeah. It gives you a taste within like doing main missions. It gives you a taste of all the side quests, like all of the side activities. So like if there's something you really enjoy doing, obviously, then you just go, cool, I'll just do this, I'll just do that. But it's like, yeah, it was like for the story alone and the characters alone, it was one of my favorite games of last year.
Oh, that's good.
Cool. Got more games. I'm throwing this one out there for you, Moody. And you have to hear my reasoning behind it. Death Stranding. Now,
okay.
I think that's weird.
You hate that game.
I mean,
I hate that game.
Okay, it was on my Game of the Year list last year. I didn't hate it. Just for everybody out there now furiously typing comments in the comment section. I didn't hate Death Stranding. I found a lot of issues for me personally in Death Stranding, but I think everyone should give it a try because it's so insanely different and weird that it's impossible. Like I know your taste in games pretty well. I feel like at this point, like I've spoken to you a lot about games particularly, but also just like shooting the shit with you on like Apex or just in like group chats and stuff. Like, but I wouldn't be able to tell if you would like Death Stranding. I wouldn't be able to tell if anyone would like Death Stranding. It's so different from anything else that I always feel like I should recommend it to people. Yeah. Purely based on the fact that they might like it. Like, I've got a friend who just, I think last week, just got the platinum for it. And she's like me. She doesn't platinum games. Like, it's her first platinum. Like, she loved it so much. She went through and got the platinum trophy. And I was like, you know me, I got to the third chapter and I built a big road. And then I was like, cool, I got everything I needed out of this this experience. I'm out. It's going to be like history is going to judge that as one of those games that's like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it, and there's not really any in between. Even though there's a big in between space where people like me sit, where it was like, yeah, it was good and also bad simultaneously. But I think everyone should try it out because you never know.
I won't lie. Until you said it, I completely forgot about that game.
It was actually the last game I added to this list because I had forgotten about it too. Go figure. It was actually literally chatting to my friend last night on Messenger that reminded me about Death Stranding existing, because obviously she got the platinum and it was a big deal for her, and I was like, oh yeah, Death Stranding. I should probably put that in that list.
Tling!
Next up, this one's a bit...
Isn't it? Sorry for putting it. Isn't there like a trophy for that game? Like you have to play it for so many hours?
I honestly don't know.
Jesus,
I never looked at it. Like,
respect to your little friend.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, cool. Like I have 2 platinum trophies. One's for Job Simulator, which I got by accident because it's a really easy platinum to get. And the other one was Spider-Man, which is just time based. Like it's a matter of playing the game for X amount of hours, not necessarily going out of your way and doing anything difficult. I don't know what the trophy list looks like for Death Stranding. But any platinum, anytime anyone gets a platinum, like,
oh, just the noise, it's a load. It's brilliant. Dling!
Like I've contemplated getting so many platinums, but one day maybe I'll just do it.
And you've won the lottery, you're retired and chilled, and you're just gonna go back and play, get all the platinums you want.
Yeah, I'll make a YouTube channel called Platinum Hunter. I'm sure there's no similar channel that exists anywhere on the internet. Like,
not at all. Not at all.
For maybe for achievements, maybe I don't know. The next one's a little bit selfish because what I've told myself, and I've written it down in the notes, is if you get it, I'll get it, and we can play it together. But it's also one of those things where it's like I've been meaning to pick. In fact, I actually made a Twitter thread about this very game earlier in the year. It's called Everybody's Golf, and it's a very charming little, fun, chilled, relaxing game. Like, I still get the urge to play it from time to time. I made a Twitter thread about it, I think in January, where I was like, I felt the urge to buy it, and I went on the PlayStation Store, and it was like $29.99, and I was like, well, not for that much. Like, especially when it was on Amazon for like a tenner. Didn't end up buying it because it was one of those like spur of the moment things where I just loaded up the PSN store, and if it had been like 10-15 quid, I would have just bought it there and then. Like, and having said all of that, and the fact that I loved it, it was on a Game of the Year list. It's a super cool game. I don't even like golf. I don't. I think golf is really boring. Like, even golf games, like, nah, not a fan. Put me in Everybody's Golf, and I'm like, yeah, this is really cool. I like this. I could play this for hours. It's got multiplayer.
Fascinating. That is fascinating. Everybody's Golf. I'm gonna have to have a look at this.
That's the idea. It's probably pretty cheap. Like, you can probably pick it up for really cheap now. But it's a lot of fun. Next on the agenda, Dreams. Yeah, Dreams. Because, again, it's one of my favourite games.
I can do the driving part! I can drive the Barnett Castle now!
You can drive the Barnett Castle. Like, I played that game, like, and I'm gonna go back to it within the next few weeks. Like, my plan with Dreams is always to just, like, dip my toe back in every now and again. That's why I bought it instead of renting it when it came out. Like, even just those first few weeks where I was playing it, going through the curation stuff, and like seeing what Media Molecule, the developers, had found, and were putting in playlists and just going and seeing what was popular. Like, with just a few weeks out, I was blown away by some of the things that was like already in the game. Like, there's some amazing games, like not even experiences. Like, there's some great artwork and there's some fantastic music and there's things that people are doing that aren't games in there. But there's some great games in this Inside Dreams. Like, and I was going in with the same mentality as when I got PSVR for the first time, where I was like, there's going to be some really cool experiences with it. Like, that sort of like, that are really great and they showcase what VR can do. And I went in thinking the same thing with Dreams, where it's like, there's going to be some really cool stuff in here, which is going to showcase what Dreams can do. And then I was going in and I was playing like work in progress, like fully fledged, like 3D platformers and like horror game, like some really great survival horror games. And it was just like, holy shit, like people have put the work in on this. And like, I was talking to my friend Avril who uses the creation tools more than playing the game. And like, she was saying like, it's actually really simple to get your head around how to make stuff in that game. And now that it's been a couple of months since I haven't touched it, I'm like super eager to like go back and see what's in there and test my eyesight driving a Barnard Castle.
That is essential these days. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen.
Wherever
you are in the UK, you have to drive to Barnard Castle to test your eyesight.
Like, I think you dig it from both directions. I think you dig checking out the creation stuff, but I also think you dig seeing what other people have made. And one of the cool features about Dreams is like, you can see the cool things people have made, and then you can remix them, or you can take like elements of things that people have made. So like, if you need like a specific animation or a specific asset in your game, there's a good chance that someone's already made that, and you can import it into your dream and use it wholesale or tweak it if you need to tweak it. And it's just it's like building on top of each other, like a real community driven thing. So like, the things that could be made in Dreams are just going to get better and better as time goes on, as people start building on top of each other.
Looking forward to that.
I love the idea of like, we end this video and you've just, and I've added it all to my basket. Click. I've bought all of them.
My partner would not like me then.
No, definitely not. Don't do that, because I'll get the blame for it. I don't want the blame for it.
Yeah.
Even though there is a PlayStation sale on right now. Now. Let's continue. I'm going to stick with Media Molecule because there was another game they released on PlayStation 4. This one's not new, so I don't know whether you might have already played it or not, because I'm pretty sure it was a PS Plus game at one point. Tearaway Unfolded.
I've never played Tearaway at all.
Alright, cool. Now, full disclosure, I've only played the PS4 version for like an hour. But a lot like the difference between Persona 5 Royal and Persona 5, I had Tearaway on my PlayStation Vita. And Unfolded is like a PS4 remake of the game. But I mean, for starters, the Vita game was my number one game of the year in 2013. Disclaimer: I didn't have a PS3, so I couldn't play The Last of Us, which probably would have been my game of the year. And Tearaway would have probably been my number 2. Yeah, that was a fun summer. Everybody was playing The Last of Us, and I was playing a janky, not great 3D action game called Remember Me. And the irony of the title of that game is I don't. I just remember that I didn't like it, and it was compounded by the fact that everybody was talking about how brilliant The Last of Us was.
Oh, yeah. Because you just said it, I do now remember me. Because everyone was saying it, everyone was just like, it's a Last of Us clone and everything, but it's a crap Last of Us clone and all like that. And I'm just like, okay.
Did not like that game. Don't on Entertainment with a whiff, for me, which is unusual. But to bring it back to Tearaway, like it's a really charming, really sunny 3D platformer. On Vita, it used the Vita itself in a really interesting way, where like it used all of the mechanics of the Vita, so the camera that was on it, was used. So like you are controlling the messenger, who's the main character, but also like you are the face peeking through the sun, which let me tell you something. Like when you're playing that game on the bus and you're just sitting there with your little Vita down there, you see your face in the game, and it's just like, hold on, mate. You're not catching my best side here. Like you could poke fingers through into the world with the touchpad on the back, and they've done similar stuff that they did with like the touchpad on the DualShock 4, being used as like a gameplay mechanic, not just to like open a map or something, like, which seems to have been its primary default function these days. So like it does a lot of interesting stuff for a 3D platform, but it's also just a really, really good 3D platformer, which, considering it was made by Media Molecule, understandable. They're really good at making games. They made Little Big Planet.
Even though it took them the whole generation to get Dreams out, it was shown at the PlayStation 4 reveal event.
I remember. It was a very different kind. It looked like it was obviously the same concept, but it looked like a very different kind of game before it disappeared and then re-emerged again.
Yeah, they obviously were doing something completely different before they obviously changed it.
Yeah. I think move controllers were a lot more vital to the game than they ended up being. I think there was some stuff to do with like technology and stuff that they just changed up. I got 3 more games on this list of PS4 recommendations.
Let's go
Japanese, because they're all Japanese. So I know I said let's go Japanese. I could pick one that isn't a Japanese game.
Arigato.
Kenichi. The first one is Shadow of the Colossus, which was remade by Blue Point Games. You played it? Sweet. What do you think?
Very good.
Incredible.
I see why people really liked it. It was still a bit clunky with some of the controls. I think they could have evolved and made it a little bit better. No doubt about that for me personally. But you could just feel it every time you took down one of the monsters. You're thinking, this ain't gonna go right here. There's something wrong here.
This isn't gonna end well.
And everything, it isn't gonna end well, and it didn't end well. So
no, I did not. I remember playing that game on PS2 and being like, "Fuck, what have I done?"
Yeah. And I definitely tried that one out. Yeah.
Did you try out The Last Guardian?
No.
That was the next one.
No, I have not tried The Last Guardian, no.
Cool. It's the same team. It's the same... Like, it's not Blue Point Games, it's the same team, sorry. It's the same team that made the original Shadow of the Colossus.
Japan Studios?
Yeah, Sony Japan, and the main developer... Because Japan obviously do their thing. They just partner up with people. It's a very famous Japanese person whose name is totally and 100% lost to me. Ueda. Fumito Ueda. Gen Design. They made the original Shadow of the Colossus, and then The Last Guardian was their next game. Missed an entire talk about dreams taking a long time. Ueda missed an entire console generation.
Yeah, like you know yourself, I didn't even know anything about E3 until 2013, and when
you missed the whole
4 was,
the whole.
I had no idea what the hell The Last Guardian was. When I heard like it was hearing podcasts like Podcast Beyond, like with Moriarty or Greg Miller and all like that said, will we finally see Last Guardian and all like that? I'm thinking, the hell's The Last Guardian? I was thinking, and then when it's finally revealed,
took
2018, I think.
I was like 2015.
No, 2015, yeah. Yeah, that's when Final Fantasy was shown as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Along with Shenmue, I believe.
Yeah. Because I was already losing it with The Last Guardian.
And Horizon Zero Dawn was shown for the first time.
Yeah, I want to say, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, pretty sure it was, yeah. It's like... And then when I finally saw it, I was thinking, because I could have just gone back and had a look at the old version of it, but I was thinking, what's the point? When they want to show it, they'll show it. If they haven't, they would tell. I think they would have told you if it was actually cancelled. So as they weren't saying anything, they obviously wasn't cancelled. They were going to get this game out eventually.
Yeah, took 10 years, but eventually,
Yeah,
we eventually got it.
that's average for a Square Enix Final Fantasy game. So I don't know what's the problem, people.
Like, with it,
Like by the end of the next generation that's coming, Final Fantasy VII Part 2 just about to come out.
yeah, probably. There was a lot of games like that all came out in a relatively short space of time. Like games that have been in development for like 10 or so years, like The Last Guardian and Final Fantasy 15, both came out around about the same time. And there was an indie game called Owlboy that had been around for about 10 years as well. It came out that year. So it was like that year was kind of like, if you'd been following along with certain games for like a decade, it was like that year was fantastic because you're suddenly playing all of these games that you've been waiting for. Like for me, for like almost a third of my entire life, I'd been waiting for certain games to come out. And The Last Guardian was one. I loved it. It was a bit divisive. When it first came out. The thing that I think, so it's one of my favorite PS4 experiences. Like not necessarily games, like to separate those two things, and say that like I really enjoyed the experience. The game is great, obviously, but because of what the game is, and essentially it's the kid and finds Trico, the weird bird chicken creature, and I think a lot of people sort of saw it and assumed that you control Trico. Like, you tell him to go over there, he's going to go over there. You tell him to do this, he's going to do this. You don't guide Trico. So, like, Trico is like a living creature in this world. And if you're like, you need to go up there, it's like, go up there. But it's like telling a dog to... It's like directing a pet to be like, do the thing. And, like, sometimes they might not do the thing. Like, and... if you go into it with the mindset of that's the experience that you're going to have, and like you form a bond with Trico over the course of I think like 10 hours. I think it's like an 8 to 10 hour game if I remember correctly. Like it's a really special game. And I cried because it's one of those kind of games. But yeah, for me it was just like yeah, sure. I mean, I swore my fucking head off at Trico in certain parts where it's like, you fucking stupid chicken bird. No, go down. But,
go right. No,
don't jump back across the fucking bridge, you stupid. But then, like, I still loved him. We had our falling out sometime.
Mm-hmm. It's his imperfections were what made him awesome.
Yeah, it made it feel more real, right? If Trico had just been like a button prompt, like I mean, there's plenty of button prompts in the game to do certain things and call out with him and point and do whatever. But like, if Trico had just been a thing, I could just push R1 and just have Trico just immediately do the thing that I wanted him to do. I don't think the connection would have been as strong.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have felt as alive as he did. Because sometimes he did fuck up or he did do the wrong thing or he did go the wrong way. And it also made the moments where it was like you were like stringing stuff together and stuff like traveling around a thing or say something. It made those moments even more special, especially considering like there's definitely a relationship that evolves between the player character and Trico as the game evolves. Like Trico becomes very much more trusting of you the further into the game you go. Which again, I don't think would have been possible if from the moment you started interacting with Trico, you just went and clicked a thing, go there, and Trico just went straight over there. Like,
oh, that's good.
But it is a very singular experience, and I do like a good singular experience.
Sometimes 9 times out of 10, they're the best.
The last one I want to recommend before we can get out of here. I was wearing a T-shirt of this game on a podcast. I think on last week's. I think it might have been on last week's PS5 Summer of Gaming video. Gravity Rush 2 was also Gravity Rush Remastered, but I want to focus on the second one.
Alright, yeah, I've heard this. Yeah, apparently it's really, really good.
It's really good. It's cult. It's very cult. Like it's probably one of the more overlooked games on PlayStation, Obviously, Gravity Rush, the first one, was a PlayStation Vita game, which explains why that was overlooked. Because it was. I wish that wasn't true, but it's true.
Explains everything.
Yeah, like, and it was remastered and brought out PS4. And then Gravity Rush 2 came out at the beginning of 2017. So while it is a really great game, like the beginning of 2017, like or any time in 2017, and not a great game, not a great time to release a game that's not iconic, as we all remember what 2017 was actually like. Um, with games like the Horizon Zero Dawn, Legend of Zelda. Like it was easy to get lost in. Yeah, it was easy to get lost in the shuffle in 2017, and I think Gravity Rush 2 definitely got lost in the shuffle, and it's a shame because it's brilliant. Like I can't remember anything about the story. I remember there was one part where there was I'm not even going to say it in case you play it, but like I remember the gameplay. I remember like running around this weird world, and like all of the mechanics are based around like gravity manipulation, as opposed to like just necessarily like platforming or something. Like it's not. Instead, what happens is like the main character can like shift gravity, in really cool and interesting ways, and it's used in really cool and interesting ways in combat and in exploration. Like the world is like all of these like broken up floating islands almost.
Oh yeah.
So you hop in between them and like try not try not to maybe some high risk maneuver where it's like okay if you like because you can push a button in that game to like essentially turn gravity off for yourself so you start floating and then you orient yourself and then you say right gravity for me is now over there and then you push the button again and you just fall towards whatever like point you've decided gravity is going to be at. So you attack creatures or like by not just like using like normal attacks and stuff, but also like you can turn gravity around so that you're just flying towards them, like to do like some like mega move or something. And it's like if you miss, let's just say you don't want to miss.
Understandable.
Because you'll keep going. It's a great game. I wish more people had played it. Because then I get to talk about it more, and I don't get to talk about Gravity Rush enough. And that's
I'd be very surprised if Gravity Rush 3 isn't happening because, like, Japan really does help their games to the extent. Like they will celebrate them, they will support them, and everything, and that's what makes Japan such a great country just for games alone. Yeah, thank you. All these games seem really interesting, really unique. PlayStation's now finally turning off. It looks like
it. Yeah, it's gone. It's done.
It's like I'm now going to sleep now.
Too long. Sorry. Bye.
Yeah, but yeah, like PlayStation, like I've played a few of the exclusives, and they have had the best exclusives this year. There's no doubt about it. This generation, the Xbox that's what we've both said ourselves, so why we're so excited to see what the Xbox exclusive event is in July, because we want to see what they've got. They know they may have a great market share in the Game Pass, and they're very gamer friendly and everything right now, but they don't have the games, they haven't the exclusives to show it. PlayStation will probably overrun them again in this generation, which they obviously don't want to happen.
Yeah, like they know what they're up against now.
Yeah, that's true. The thing is, the writing was already on the wall, I felt, for the end of PlayStation 3's life cycle, because the Uncharted Trilogy was overall well received critically for the most part. From one was everyone was like, "What is this game? This is really, really good. It's a PlayStation game. Bloody hell!" Then number 2 comes out, and everyone's just like, "Wow, this is absolutely fantastic." And 3 comes out. I've overall loved 3. I thought 3 for me is the best one out of all of them overall. Even though I love Uncharted 4, I think Uncharted 4 is a really good game, really good send off. It's kind of like an end game. It's like it's just a good send off to the characters that you've fallen in love with and everything. Like PlayStation 3 ended with The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And we are gearing up for The Last of Us Part 2 in 2 weeks, which is epic. Which I'm guessing because now as I'm PlayStation, we can actually do a full-on review together if you want to, and a spoiler review for
I
it,
think we'll probably definitely do a spoiler review for Last of Us Part 2.
which would be epic and everything. So.
I've said for ages, like ever since like the beginning of the year, I need to get into doing stuff like that because talking with you about games is great, and like doing a spoiler, like, but it's my laziness. Like, I had the opportunity to do it with Resident Evil 3, didn't do it. Like, yeah, we need to start doing that, and we will. And like, yeah, like it speaks to the power of PlayStation's exclusives that I got 10 games on that list. And again, like I noted at the beginning of the video, it's like God of War wasn't there, Spider-Man, Last of Us, Detroit, yeah, Until Dawn, Horizon Zero Dawn, all of the Uncharted. It's like because you already played them. Like I was going deeper into the catalog, and I still came up with 10 games off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't research this at all. Like
Yeah.
I came up with these games off the top of my head, and I sat down and went, "Cool, these are also fantastic games." Like, so
And it
yeah.
shows the power of PlayStation, especially in the exclusive, that not just a relative, a new IP that came out toe to toe with a new launch system in Nintendo Switch, and it's one of its biggest IPs in Zelda, and it's sold incredibly still in Horizon Zero Dawn, and what going on and we're all practically. It's not confirmed. We all know it isn't, but we're all kind of expecting that whenever PlayStation do their event, whenever they actually do their event, which was nothing wrong with them canceling. They did the right thing. We all know that, ladies and gentlemen. We're all expecting the Horizon Zero Dawn probably to be at least announced at this event for whenever they show it, which is going to be exceptionally exciting. And that's just the power of what the PlayStation exclusive have. Like it's incredible. You can't say nothing about
it. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get next time.
Yep.
In the next generation of Captain Picard leading the way.
Space, the final frontier.
PS5, the final frontier. That's gonna do it for this video. I hope you've got something out of it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like, if not, I know Moody's gotten something out of it. He's got a list of great games to check out.
And I'm not doing anything, so I've got something to do.
Yeah, it's like good 250 hours of entertainment there for you.
Yeah.
You know, if you need something to do, I know you're super busy right now with everything. You know,
I'm stressed. Doing all this stuff, it's so hard, Amy.
Yeah, I get it. I'm out. He's out. Say bye, Moody.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe.